Hey, Wichita, Councilmember Hoheisel here. I'm joined by my fellow Southsider, good friend, Councilmember Jeff Blubaugh. Another year older, somehow he looks another year younger. So you got to tell me what your secret is. We have a kind of a small agenda this week. We're starting off next week with our Board of Bids and Petitions for Public Improvements. We're visiting our media buying services for the airport. This is kind of a contentious one, but we're going to look at it and discuss possible alternatives or movement on the issue. We're also going to be looking at removal and repair of unsafe structures in District 1.
We'll also be looking at our well rehab project. The city obtains raw water from Cheney Reservoir, and there's 91 groundwater wells which were constructed between 1948 and 2008. So rehabilitation of those water production wells recovers well efficiency, protects the ability to produce groundwater, and it extends the useful life of the well as well.
Now, you said something interesting I heard last week. We lose more to evaporation out of Cheney Reservoir?
So when I first got on council, one of our big issues was, are we going to run out of water? You know, everyone's worried about that. And you still today, a lot of cities don't know what their future is because the water is. So we looked at what was going to be the best plan for water wells. One thing I learned early on is there's more water that evaporates every day off Cheney than what we use. So the redundant system that we have, where it pulls the water in, and what we're not using, what doesn't evaporate, we send back to our wells up at Sedgwick at our ASR facility. So, we just got back from Washington, D.C., and that is one of the big things that we've been able to accomplish through those trips, where we've been able to meet with our lobbyist and meet with our delegation, and they provided us the WIFIA contracts for the $700 million for the water treatment center, as well as the District 2 sewage plant that we're going to be able to redo too. That part of your district and very important to your constituents, because we're going to get 99% of that smell out of there.
98% of the odor from South Wichita. So that's obviously a big issue with both of our districts being on the south side, and I can remember the odor at Joyland back in the day, and there were days you'd go to the Wonder Bread factory, and some days it smelled like Wonder Bread, and some days it smelled like the product from the Wonder Bread. So, that's all very interesting. It's always good to hear and learn from somebody who's been on council for years like you have. Just some of the background information that I just need to take with me the rest of the way.
I mean, that was something very important because 10, 11 years ago, whenever we went out for that sales tax initiative that was voted down by the public, water was one of the big ones. And we went back to the drawing board literally, and we're able to come up with this plan. And I think it's going to ensure we have water for the next 50, 75 years. So.
Oh, yeah. Water security is definitely at the top of the list nowadays. Cheney Reservoir got down to 27%, I think, back then in that 2-year drought we had. So. Scary. So
it was pretty. You guys absolutely was.
Took the action that you did. We're also looking at an item for a number of maintenance projects to public facilities, including ADA improvements. This also includes roof repairs, HVAC maintenance, and more from facilities from the art museum to police stations and more. This is something that you also have to figure out with the budget. We can't just build a building. It's also the maintenance and upkeep that comes with it. So. Anytime, I've heard this before, about a 5% is about what you can expect to spend on maintenance for a project. So if a project costs $100 million, you can plan on $5 million a year to keep it up. So those buildings up there, it's not just putting it up there, it's also the upkeep that follows with it. Being good stewards of our property.
That's one thing I learned early on. 10% for design initially. If you look at a $100 million project, you're going to have $10 million in design before you even start the project. And then, like you said, 5% for maintenance. So it's some good ballpark numbers whenever you're trying to make decisions from the bench, where you're going to have an understanding of what your recurring cost is going to be with that project.
Right. And he said ballpark numbers. 5% is ideal. It's not always appropriate for every project, but there is ongoing maintenance costs that we had to figure into the cost of any project.
Yep.
So.
We had a pretty good trip in Washington, D.C. We were able to meet with a lot of our delegation. We met with Senator Marshall. I think Senator Moran was in for a vote. We were able to meet with Congress Estes. It was kind of nice. We came out just outside of the House floor to meet him in between votes. He came out there. I was very impressed that Congressman Estes knew most of our issues. A couple of them that are important to me for certain is the Breck project, where out west, from the Halloween flooding back in 1998, while we did fix the cow skin issues that were out there, we still backed it up to the calf skin. And we've got about a mile of the calf skin, which is a tributary to the cow skin, that I think it's the only one other than maybe the Arkansas River where in Great Bend, where the water runs from south back to north. We have the same issue there. And while we've had great development out on the northwest side of Wichita, the stormwater drainage has went out to those tributaries and still caused some issues. So it is around a $40 million project. The city and the county are both putting in $5 million, and we're asking the federal government to put in $30 million. But it will help with that flooding. It'll take about 200 homes out of the floodplain. So that's one of those projects that's very important that we go out to Capitol Hill and legislate for.
Oh, absolutely. Water issues too. We were plugging for the Equus beds.
Yep.
Funding for that as well. We did discuss some things as far as fighting the fentanyl pandemic. That's just the scourge of our streets right now. So when we go up there, nothing's going to ever replace face-to-face conversations. Sure. No matter what we say on Zoom, emails, any of the other means of communication, when you look somebody in the eye and you talk about the issues that are important to you and your constituents, there's so much more of an impact. And what you were saying earlier, the WIFIA loans, we got great rates on the loans that we got from WIFIA. That's going to save us tens of millions of dollars down the line because we went to D.C. Previous councils have gone to D.C. and spoken with the EPA and secured these loans.
Literally, we got probably a decade of no payments on that. Most of it was interest deferred, and we were able to do all this before inflation took off. Actually, council member, a lot of the supplies and stuff we bought ahead of time before 2020, before COVID, and all the supply chain issues came up. So it really was great timing to be able to do that and prepare us for the future. So it does put Wichita in a great spot. So.
Yep. We're up there working. When we're back here in Wichita, we're working. You got a council that's working for you here all the time. So
absolutely, and we always want to hear from you.
Always.
Absolutely. Blubaugh at wichita.gov. M Hoheisel.
MH
Hoheisel.
Yes.
At wichita.gov. But especially, I guess we'll plug our Southside constituents again. We definitely want to hear from you as much as we can. I've got a breakfast in the morning. April 1st, it's on April Fool's. Be having it at the Ballpark Museum. Going to have the chief of police out there. Yeah. I know you do a lot of meet and greet, town hall type activities as well, because we want to hear constituents. It's that face-to-face interaction, right, council member?
Yep, and April 15th is my breakfast with the police chief as well. So it's going to be good to get people out there and meet the new guy. He's done a good job so far.
Yeah. Where will your breakfast be?
The Christian Life Center on South Broadway at 9:30.
Okay.
And yours is?
Mine will be at the Ballpark Museum.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I rotate mine just because my district is larger than most of the other districts because the sparse population. You have the airport out there that breaks a lot of it up. You have a lot of manufacturing. So I move mine around to different areas of the district. So.
Yeah, we have Pastor Moore, and he does a great breakfast, eggs, sausage, bacon. I know Councilmember Johnson has a lot of rabbit food, carrots and healthy stuff at his breakfast. So come, if any of you District 1 residents want to come down and eat a real breakfast, you're always welcome at a District 3 or District 4 breakfast, I'm sure.
All right. Well, we ready for the surprise question of the week?
Let's hear the surprise question of the week. Ooh. Should superheroes have to pay for the damage they cause in movies?
You know, this is something that I've thought about quite a bit as you watch these Marvel type movies come out, and I always wonder. You look at some of these superheroes, and a lot of them come from a lot of money. You would think they could at least have some kind of liability coverage or something. What are your thoughts, council member?
I'm a Batman guy. I suppose Bruce Wayne can't afford to pony up for it, but he's doing so much for the community already. I mean, it seems a little, I don't know, a little unfair to ask him to fight crime and save lives and then pay for it as well.
But if you step back and you look at the utilitarian decision, is the good that they're doing, does it overcome the damage they're doing? If they're saving the world, by all means, it's great. But if it's just maybe fighting one of their arch enemies, and then there's really not direct destruction from that, it's very, very controversial. I think.
I wonder the courage a bill collector would have to go to Superman's front door and, hey, you're past due on your payment here.
Right. No, I understand that, but they're there to hold up justice and the law, and kind of got to keep them to that if they're going to be a superhero to defend America. And
maybe they need to take out an insurance policy.
Maybe so.
There we go. That's a happy medium.
Maybe a high deduct, maybe like $1 million deductible
there
policy
we go.
or something. So. All right.
Real hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, if we need to put a bat signal on the roof of City Hall sometime, I think maybe we can slip that in a CIP at some point.
Yep. As we change the lights, maybe that is something
There we go.
I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard to go in there and put out the superhero, the bat signal or whatever it is.
Sir.
No, absolutely. Have a great weekend, council member.
You too. All right. Thanks, Wichita.